Hello everyone, Noctim0 here, and I gotta ask, have you ever played a game so profound, so amazing that it stuck with you for years, and even after it's gone, you still remember it, you still want to play it again because you know how awesome it was, despite the complications and all that stuff, and the intricacy of the story? I personally love this series. This series has been with me for as long as I can remember. This is my friend introduced it to me when I was in middle school. And my brother and I just play the hell out of it. I present to you the Legacy of Kain series. Blood Omen, Soul Reaver, Soul Reaver 2, Blood Omen 2, and Legacy of Kain Defiance. Now, if the name sounds familiar, it's probably because of that new game, I guess new, Nosgoth, that has been pretty much paving the way through the multiplayer circuit. I'm personally not happy without that, but without further ado, here's our next game gem.
Oh, well, to start off, Blood Omen Legacy of Kain is probably one of the best games I've ever played. It's pretty much a Zelda-style game, but with a gothic horror mix. You play as the title character, Kain, who was a nobleman, but was eventually murdered by a group of bandits. Uh, he wakes up in, I guess, hell. It's never really explained. And he is met with the necromancer Mortanius, who pulls the sword that stabbed him out of his chest and then hands it to him. Kain takes it without any kind of hesitation and is transformed into a vampire. Pretty much he goes on this large vengeance quest to try and right the wrongs that were done to him. But eventually he finds out that there's a much larger conspiracy at hand involving why he was killed and how he has to set everything correctly. The game is a massive world. I mean, to me, this is what open world games were like back then. And even though it's pretty dated now, the game is still pretty fun to play if you like old school stuff like Zelda and whatnot. I mean, this game wasn't 100% perfect, and there was never any waypoints or whatnot, but you can still play and figure your way around no problem. And it's like every time you gain a new ability for Kain, it'll help you progress a lot better. It's just that being a vampire meant a lot of weaknesses like water, sunlight, and I mean, really all the normal weaknesses a vampire would face. But still, it's fun, it's engaging, and it has a really deep story. It's pretty crazy, and the series then on just goes on from there. And Bubba is going to explain to you about its sequel, Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver. You start off as a man named Raziel. He is a lieutenant that stood by Kain's side for a millennium, but he had the ability to surpass Kain. Kain felt as if Raziel would rise up against him and steal his throne. Kain ripped and dismantled Raziel's wings and threw him into abyss. On his way down, Raziel started to burn. When he finally hit bottom, he heard a voice. The voice told Raziel that you didn't survive the fall, but I saved you from total annihilation. He told Raziel that his goal is to seek vengeance. He has to become a Soul Reaver, an angel of death. Raziel has similar traits as a vampire. For example, he still has the weaknesses as a vampire. His weakness is water, and other traits like sunlight as well. But the difference between Raziel and Kain is that Raziel has a thirst, and it's not blood, it is souls. There's a prophecy. Raziel believes that he has to rise up and defeat Kain, or he will be defeated by Kain. Their hatred between one another kind of resembles Sub-Zero and Scorpion off of Mortal Kombat. But we're going to talk about Blood Omen 2, but I'm going to pass it to my buddy, Noctim0, for him to talk about it.
Now that was pretty cool of Bubba to talk about Soul Reaver. I'm a personal fan of Raziel, but I mean, I've played through all the games he hasn't, and that's okay. Because honestly, you can get these games on PC. That's what I'm aware of. So I'm hoping he does get it. But for Blood Omen 2, the story starts to go sideways because I mean, you're led to believe all these things about Kain, but and this way you start to see his rise to power in a lot of ways. But Kain's army was defeated by the Sarafan Lord, and when he lost the Soul Reaver. When he lost the Soul Reaver, he was like, what? I believe he was asleep for about 500 years. He wakes up to a woman named Uma who is working with, I guess they're called the Cabal, a group of vampires, the vampire resistance basically, against the Sarafan and the Sarafan Lord. The game is vastly different from how Soul Reaver and the original Blood Omen plays. They actually added a stealth element in the game where you can turn into mist and stealth kill your opponents, and they're pretty sweet. Like, my favorite one is when you just go in barehanded and Kain forces his hand through a guy's chest and they see their heart as it's beating in Kain's hand, and he turns it over and drops it like nothing. The way he drinks blood, though, is different from the first game, whereas in Blood Omen you can wound at least up to 3 opponents, drink their blood all at once. In Blood Omen 2, after you kill everybody, that's when you can start drinking their blood. It's pretty sick, though, because he never bites from the neck, even though you see that in other games. But in this one, he pretty much uses his telekinesis, and he draws the blood out of their body and into him. And it's awesome to look at, pretty sick, and I really wish and hope they remaster it in some way. And the game itself is pretty fun. It's just the combat's also different. You can lock onto enemies, but it's kind of like I don't know how to put it. It's a different type of combo system. I know a lot of fans didn't like it. Blood Omen 2 wasn't as well received as the next game on our list, Soul Reaver 2.
Soul Reaver 2 starts off exactly where Soul Reaver 1 left off. But however, there is a difference for this game compared to the other one. Is that the cutscenes are much better. The graphics improved tenfold, and the game is acted 300,000 times better. During the gameplay, there's a lot more gory elements into this game than there was from Soul Reaver 1. For example, when you cut off a guy's head in the Soul Reaver 2, it literally shows the head fly off and blood spilling out of his neck. And progressing through the game can make your Soul Reaver hand beam weapon much stronger, and will actually change different colors. And in the sequel of Soul Reaver 2, the game actually focuses more on the story element. For example, there is a lot more in-game cutscenes, and it looks so much better compared to the first game. Eventually, the game does come to a conclusion, and that's where Legacy of Kain, Defiance come into play.
Now, pretty much as the games are, they all interconnect, and they finally come full circle in Legacy of Kain Defiance. Now, Defiance came out, I believe in 2006, somewhere around there. And to be honest, it was, to me, one of the best ones to ever come out. And the fact is you can play as both Raziel and Kain. It was fun being able to switch that back and forth. I remember playing with my brother. He would play as Kain, and I would play as Raziel, because those were our favorite characters. What about you, Bubba? How did you enjoy playing Defiance?
Well, I just recently played this one because I bought this one on my PC. I bought the other ones as well, but for some reason Steam would not allow me to play those games. But I did enjoy Defiance a lot. I did like how it switched between Kain and then it switched into Raziel. There was also a lot of I like how the Kain sucks the blood out of the enemies. And Raziel, I love Raziel. He's my favorite character of all the whole series. When I was a kid, I was about like 6 or 7. I was literally drawing Raziel in art class, and now I have a refrigerator magnet of Raziel that I put on my refrigerator. So I don't know if it's why, but I felt like Raziel was a better character. I love his action. I love his weapon, and I just liked him as a character in general. How about you?
Yeah, Raziel was one of my favorite characters. He was actually voiced by one of my favorite voice actors, Michael Bell. And I grew up watching this guy do great stuff. He was in, and brace yourself for my age. He was in the Smurfs way back when. He played the character Johan. He played Angelica's father in the Rugrats. He was in Star Trek, and he's got a lot of things he's done. It's just I can't name everything off the top of my head. But anything Michael Bell is in, I'm always going to be there to play. I mean, he was in the game Alpha Protocol. And as bad as a game review that game got, I actually enjoyed it. A little bit like Mass Effect, but that's not the game we're talking about today. But I'm just saying, Michael Bell is an awesome voice actor. Did also like Simon Templeman as Kain, and the way they played off each other in Soul Reaver 2 and Defiance, because you don't really see them talk to each other much in the first Soul Reaver, which to me was a disappointment. And when they finally did talk to each other, they were just more or less antagonistic. And from what I remember from all the development, they always intended for Raziel to kind of take the reins and be the lead character and kill Kain. But somewhere along the lines, a lot of development changed, and Raziel and Kain shared the spotlight together. And to me, that's where the game shined a lot, is the fact that you got two different perspectives, and it was always told in an intricate way. The story was always told in an intricate way, where you would hear one person's perspective over another. It was like a book being read to you or something. And even the voice actors themselves have said there was a lot of talk for a video game. And
yeah, for the time too, because the talking between Soul Reaver 1 and Soul Reaver 2 is drastic. There's, like I said before, that there's way more cutscenes in the game, and in the Defiance there's just even more into the game. And I like how they played it where it was either point A or point B, but the game itself was like, I want to do my own way, and I want to go C. You know what I mean? How they do that?
yeah, I mean, I did like Defiance for the fact that, I mean, they drastically overhauled the gameplay. It was a mix of God of War and Devil May Cry, and they obviously took a lot of cues from those games to help improve the combat, because at that point we got to see how Raziel and Kain could fight at their full extent. And it was nice to see that they brought back Kain being able to drink the blood of his enemies from multiple people, but he could also bite down on their neck, and it was just pretty fun to see all that. Raziel can still phase in and out between the material realm and the spectral realm, but it was downplayed a lot in Defiance, because in Soul Reaver 1 and 2 you can actually explore the world freely while in the spectral realm, but you of course had the restrictions of you can't move the objects. But still, in Legacy of Kain Defiance, they didn't have it in there as often. It was more or less they just focused more on the combat and less on the exploration, but at least the puzzle elements stayed the same. The puzzle elements to me were comparative to Legend of Zelda. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I felt like Soul Reaver actually had more puzzle elements than Blood Omen.
Yeah, Blood Omen 1 really didn't have too much of it. The game itself is highly difficult, I would say. Blood Omen 2, I don't remember there being a lot of puzzles. It was more or less just trying to figure out where to go in the game, and that was still pretty fun. But yeah, Defiance, it may have brought the game full circle, but unfortunately, with the fact that with the tragic death of Tony Jay, who was the voice of the Elder God, and with the way Eidos Interactive is being handled now by Square Enix, I mean, we're never going to get a conclusion, because yes, they defeated all their enemies that tried to kill them, but there was still so much left. And they were going to come out with a new Legacy of Kain game, at least 3 occasions they were, and one of them dealt with an old Elder Kain dealing with his younger self, pretty much after the events of Blood Omen 2. Another one was Dead Sun, which looked phenomenal. I don't know where the story would have landed, though, because Legacy of Kain Dead Sun didn't seem to land anywhere in the gaming universe of Legacy of Kain. It felt like a standalone, and I didn't understand why they were doing it, but I still wanted to play it, because I've never seen that. I mean, they introduced a completely new character, similar to both Raziel and Kain. It's weird.
I believe his name was Asher or something like that, the new protagonist.
I heard about that too, but now we have Nosgoth. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to play Nosgoth. I do. But I'm not, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm not too keen on it, the fact that it's
Free to
the
play.
Legacy of Kain. It's free to play, yeah. It's free to play. But it's a mess. What is it? It's not a mess. It's a mess, is what it is. Because they mess with the lore of Legacy of Kain. They do a lot of homages showing statues of Raziel, Kain, and all that, but they don't respect the lore enough. Like, They bring in Raziel's clan, and they were wiped out. They shouldn't exist, but they're in the game. Oy.
So how is that going to work out? I personally think, is it going to be like a prequel, or is it going to be a could have been a prequel where they get wiped out, or I don't know. It's canceled, so it's kind of hard to tell.
It doesn't make sense because they're all fighting together, and from what I'm told in the lore of Nosgoth, and Eidos or Square Enix is avoiding any questions about how the game connects to the other ones. They really don't want anyone referencing the old games for some reason. But as to where the game lands at, I've been hearing that it's pretty much takes place after the events of Soul Reaver, but yeah, pretty much after the events of Soul Reaver, because Raziel went through time at that point, so Nosgoth at that point is left leaderless. There's no Kain, there's no humans or whatever to really. I mean, there are humans in the game, I guess, trying to fight back and take control, and the vampire leaders that I guess are remaining are just a lot of the lower vampires that are left without any leadership, because Turel was taken into the past, I guess, and Raziel had already killed all of his other brothers from Soul Reaver, so I don't know. That's why I think Nosgoth is meant. But if I want to thank everybody for listening into this game jam. I actually had a lot of fun doing this because I get to play off my buddy here who, I mean, he's been watching my channel for a good bit, and now that I have a little help, it's nice to actually have someone to talk to, you know?
Of course, and I am more than happy to help you out with this.
But please like and share and subscribe to both of our channels, Noctim0, Rebel Gamer, that's me.
And Outragebubba, which is me.
And, well, you guys take care.
See you guys in the next video.
I just want to say as a final thought that the Legacy of Kain series has always been a true legacy in gaming. The fact is that Amy Hennig herself, the person that helped with the Uncharted series, was the same person that pretty much wrote the majority of the games at the time. She even directed Soul Reaver 2 and I believe Defiance, and after Defiance she left for Naughty Dog. It was nice to know that Naughty Dog actually gained someone with good storytelling proficiency, because if you look at how Uncharted turned out. I don't think that unless Legacy of Kain didn't exist, Uncharted probably would not be the game it is today. And I want to say that I really miss this series. I have them, yes. I have a PS2. I can hook it up and play it again. It's just that I look at it now and it's like it seems pointless, because the game itself, the series itself, is left on such a big cliffhanger that we as the fans will probably never get to see the true conclusion of this series. Who knows where Dead Sun would have led us? And unfortunately, we're being led even down a darker path with Nosgoth. But I'm hoping that with this video, that enough fans will share it, and I don't know, hopefully gain some attention, because Legacy of Kain deserves to come back. I mean, with the game series as it is, and the fact that we still have Simon Templeman and Michael Bell, hopefully they could come back for a future installment, or maybe just Simon Templeman, since Raziel has technically been destroyed. But again, who knows where the story would go. I'm personally hoping that we'll get another Legacy of Kain game one day, because really, there haven't been many good vampire games as of late. But I will also want to say this, the Legacy of Kain series will always be phenomenal. I recommend it to anybody. It is the best series ever made, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be something that I say, yes, it's the best game ever. No. In my opinion, it's one of the best. I've never had more fun in a game series than I had. My brother and I have fond memories, and we're just pissed at what's been going on with it. So please, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also check out Outragebubba. I'll leave a link in the description, or you can check the little title card thingy, the little eye on the upper right corner. Just definitely check us both out. And also, like I said, definitely check out the Legacy of Kain series.
It's probably all on Steam. If you own a PS3, you can definitely purchase Blood Omen and Soul Reaver 1 on download. I believe they're $9.99 or $5.99. I mean, it's been out for years now for download, and it's really fun. Especially if you have, I guess if anyone still has a PSP, you can download it on there. That's how I played both of them. It's a real fun experience. You guys are definitely missing out. Take care.